Isack Hadjar grabbing a P3, capitalizing on Lando Norris's demise to move up from 4th place to a P3, to a podium finish. A standout weekend by Isack Hadjar, though. I mean, P4 in qualifying ahead of the Mercedes of George Russell. He was able to convert that into the podium. George Russell's Mercedes received some damage during the race, but, I mean, Isack Hadjar was in the right position, right where he needed to be. He earned it to be in that spot on the grid. And VCARB's 5th podium in 389 Grand Prix weekends. First step onto the podium since Pierre Gasly, his 3rd place in Baku in 2021 when they were still known as AlphaTauri. Look, Hadjar at this point, very easily, you can lay it up right now, the Rookie of the Year. I love my boy Kimi Antonelli, but things have been a little less consistent for him. All things considered, Isack Hadjar has been kicking a lot of ass. He's been taking names. This drive, in my opinion, and I'm curious if you have any conjecture on this, and I want to know what the TLPs think down in the comments below. This drive, in my eyes, solidified him as Max Verstappen's teammate in 2026. It's so far been a cursed seat. Maybe Isack Hadjar isn't necessarily jumping at this opportunity if you put it right in front of him today. But new regulations, new cars, new leadership, maybe things change when it comes to the 2nd seat. Isack Hadjar looks different. Do we think that Hadjar can buck the trend of Verstappen teammate flameouts? Do we think he's going to get there, Kevin Walker? Is this a layup? Is he going to be driving Red Bull next year?
Layup, I wouldn't say, because it's, silly season. You never know what could happen. I would imagine he's probably the favorite for it, though. I mean, he's looked great. We started talking about Isack Hadjar probably a month or two ago about how the spectacular seasons he's been having. And as far as rookies go, if he's not 1, he's definitely not any further down than 2 for the year. Hadjar's looked fantastic, and he's been doing some incredible things in that VCARB. If I'd imagine if he wants it, that seat is his. He's got a great relationship with Lauren Meckies. Like you said, new leadership. I think all those things could be enticing. Maybe the bad luck charm for the 2nd seat was Christian Horner, and maybe that's what he's banking on. And if that's the case, then I think you want to put a guy. Well, I don't think you want to put a guy that's competitive next to a guy like Max Verstappen, and I think Isack Hadjar could be one of those guys. He's got a little bit of silliness to him. He's not, just straight and narrow, all ball all the time kind of guy. But when he comes to getting on the track, you can tell a second side of him comes out. He's a vicious driver. He's an aggressive driver, but he's smart, and I like what I've seen from him so far. I think a pairing with him and Max, I think, would be really well. I think Max is the guy that could teach Isack a lot, and I think that doing that can maximize Hadjar's potential, which I don't know if we even really know yet, but I'd imagine it looks pretty good as of right now.
I mean, he's shown loads of promise, and with so many changes on the way, I do have to believe that, look, Max Verstappen, you can put anybody across from him. It's going to be kind of hard to stack up. There are a lot of talent on the grid, don't get me wrong, but I mean, the reputation of it being a cursed seat for the last few years, Checo lasted as long as he damn near could, right? But anybody across from Max is going to be a tall task. I don't think the expectation if you're Hadjar is to walk in and be like, I'm going to beat Max Verstappen. I mean, like, you want to say those kinds of things. You have to believe in yourself, right? But in your heart, it's hard to see anybody beating Max in the same machinery. But with so many changes between 2025 to 2026, there's going to be a general feeling, and there is a very strong feeling, they're going to be behind. They're going to have the Ford partnership. They're going to be making their own powertrains. They're no longer going to be a Honda power unit, partner. So expectations won't be sky high. It's going to be, round out the midfield, 5th place at the very least. I think they're probably going to be aiming for P4 respectfully. Aston Martin are probably going to be in that mix. That's my intuition telling me that. I think that next year, if you're going to make a change like this, the infrastructure is changing completely, but this gives him an opportunity to maybe let Isack Hadjar be your guy for the future. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but we've already had so many conversations and so much topic and so much has been said about Max Verstappen. Will he stay? Will he go? And we got the Helmut Marko confirmation. We got Max's confirmation he's going to be there next year, but it's a year-by-year basis, it seems like, when it comes to Max Verstappen. If you're Isack Hadjar, look at this as a massive opportunity to walk into one of the top competing teams, even if they're not necessarily jumping at championships to start. This is a team with a lot of money, a lot of resources, is very strong commercially, that you can make your own. Look at it as like, I'm next. I'm not here to replace Max. I'm here to be the next guy, right? I'm saying there's a lot of good opportunity here. I think it would work out.
I think
that's based off of 15 races, but I think it would probably work out pretty fine. There's so many things in his corner.
I enjoy your perspective. I really do. I think that this is also interesting because this is going to be the first time where Max is the teacher. You know what I mean?
I don't know that he's necessarily... I mean, he's been very like cordial off track to people, right? I don't know that Max Verstappen
I'm not
with
saying
his teammates is necessarily like, I got to give you all my wisdom and my intuition, though.
No, I don't necessarily mean it like that, as much as I just think that it could be like one of those things where Max could kind of take Isack under his wing. I never really got the feel that Yuki was ever in that kind of area, because Yuki's kind of a vet at this point. I mean, I know he's a younger guy, but he's a vet at this point.
I mean, this is his fourth year in Formula One, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been around the block.
Right, but with a guy like Isack, he's a much, much younger guy, obviously a rookie, next year's second year. I could see a situation where Max kind of takes him under his wing a little bit. Yeah, he's still going to be Max. He's still going to be ultra competitive. I'm not saying he's not going to be. And I'm not saying he's not going to be an a-hole to the media or whatever have you. Max is going to be Max. But it could be one of those things where he's going to be, he might be a little bit of a teacher, maybe a little bit of a guy that kind of gives Isack some help or gives him some pointers. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said many, many times this year, Max does want to be the best driver on his team, no doubt. But he also wants his teammate to be competitive, because he wants to fight for drivers' championships, but he also wants to fight for constructors for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As far as the dynamics here, with Hadjar's success, though, Tsunoda's sitting, I think, at like P19 in this year's Constructors Champion or Drivers Championship. I mean, check this. Yeah, he's P19. He's only had 12 points. He's driving in one of the top teams this year. I think the expectation would easily be that he might be the odd man out within the Red Bull dynamic, because I don't see them moving off of Liam Lawson at this stage. Liam has walked into VCARB, and he's currently sitting in 15th place with 20 points to his name this year. So he's obviously gotten a lot more comfortable there. I think Red Bull have somebody consistent that they like there. This will be somebody that they probably stick with moving forward. At least that's what I think. I don't see you flip-flopping Yuki Tsunoda back and forth. And they have this guy in F2 we talked about before, Arvid Lindblad. He seems primed to get the jump next. So this is going to leave Yuki Tsunoda as the odd man out. What happens to Yuki Tsunoda in your estimate?
Reserve driver somewhere
for Red Bull?
I think this is Yuki's last year in the Red Bull system.
I think that and I probably said this before, so if you're an avid TLP listener, you probably know what I'm going to say, but I think that the partnership with Honda and his relationship with Honda carries over. I could see him being a natural fit in with Aston Martin.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's a very different structure. Exactly with the Stroll family, right? With different ownership, but like the engine's there. You still got Adrian Newey in that mix, and if Lance Stroll misses a weekend and the Aston Martin is a lot more of a drivable car, that could be a huge boost for Yuki Tsunoda to maybe get himself a seat down the road along the line, right? Having a veteran driver sitting alongside in the wings to provide some level of insight. I mean, you got Fernando Alonso there, who is one of the greatest of all time, but to me, that just feels like he's the most natural fit. I think he'd be good for marketing. I think he wants to remain in the sport, and he has the experience to step in and do a good job if, Aston Martin find themselves in a bit of a tight spot. And if you ask me, I think that in the same machine, he might outperform Lance Stroll. Now that's just me saying it. You don't really know unless it happens, but it's possible. It's possible. But,
what would you say is?
Ask it.
Nothing. I'll save it.
You're gonna save it.
I'll save it. I'll save it for our brand new segment. For our brand new segment, what's more likely?